Welcome to Ring the Damn Bell. Tonight, my normal co-host Mark will not be able to be on with us. He had to deal with a family emergency. Hope everything turns out. But I tell you what, I am so happy to have the Superficial Cooker on because I can now finally say on my podcast tonight, the Hall of Famer, Bob Cook.
Yeah.
Sitting in.
Ooh.
Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. I'm so excited. But I get a cool ring. I'm not going to argue with it.
Hey, man. I mean, look, in my opinion, this is well overdue, and you should absolutely accept all the accolades that's going to come with you being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, my fee goes up from 1 case of Mountain Dew to 2 now. I'm drawing the line. No more screwing around.
That's right. So, everybody, if you want to send Bob Cook a gift, send him 2 cases of Mountain Dew. He'll gladly.
Yes, cases, not those cheap 12 packs. 24, or go to Sam's and get a 36. 2 of those. It'll last me a week.
Tonight, we're going to be doing a recap of Wednesday Night Dynamite that happened right here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I was actually able to be there.
Wow.
At the last minute, I didn't realize that I had an email that came in from AEW's media people about a month ago. I sent a request to get a media pass. I sent them my credentials, and I was like, "Oh shit!" They actually sent me told me that my name was on the list at will call. So at the last minute, my wife and I got dressed and headed that way. And I tell you, it was a pretty good show. There's definitely some.
But let me ask you something.
Sure.
Does Megan Baines smell as good as she looks?
This is the thing, and this is what I found out. There are actually different levels of media passes that you can get. Of course, I'm a nobody, so I got the nobody media pass, which allowed me to get really close to the ring to take pictures and stuff like that. Although I did meet Josh Matthews, which I was going to talk about in a little bit, but I'll talk about it now. So Josh Matthews was one of the people that was recently let go with TNA. And I ran into him there last night, and super nice guy. Now I tell you that my first instinct was to bust out the camera and do a quick interview with him about TNA, but I decided not to because I was like, I don't know why he was there. He might have been there to talk to Tony Khan about a job, and I put the guy on the spot. He may say something Tony Khan didn't want him to say. I didn't want to do that to him. So him and I just took a picture. I gave him my business card. He says that he will email me.
Mark.
Right.
Oh, wait.
If he does, great. If he doesn't, then, I'd be shocked if I actually hear from him. Not because he would purposely do that, but he's just a busy guy. He had a 1-day talent pass, I noticed, so he could have been there just to see a friend of his. But you want to talk about Marks, man? I felt so bad for a lot of the talent last night because as I was talking to Josh, a lot of the talent was coming out. And look, you could just tell when these guys just want to get in their vehicle and be able to go. A lot of the women had their hoodies pulled on, sunglasses on as at nighttime. They had security with them, and just the amount of idiots running up to these people and taking up their time. And I'm like, you don't do that, guys. Look, these guys have their job when they're on the clock, meet and greet, stuff like that, then fine. I personally don't think that fans should bother professional wrestlers or anybody just because they are famous or whatnot. I get that they put themselves in that position by being on TV, but I don't necessarily believe that they should cater to the fans all the time right after they got done. with the show. Do you disagree with that, Bob?
Yeah, pretty much. Because my outlook is there's going to come a time where they're going to wish it was happening. As my legendary friend Evil Knievel said, when the kids stop asking you for autograph, the truckers stop shaking your hands, and the girls stop kissing you, it's over, baby. Ride that wave until it crashes and don't bitch and moan. It could be worse. You could be stocking shelves at Walmart while I'm wandering around looking for cases of Mountain Dew because nobody sent them to me.
Fair enough. With myself, because I'm trying to build a podcast and be considered legit. That's just not something that I was willing to do, to tackle them, to give them a card. Please come on the podcast. I just don't want that reputation. Uh, but I tell you, last night I was really surprised. This is the first AEW live event that I've gone to. Been to plenty of WWEs.
And the last, right? Come on, say
Well,
it. Say it.
well, it might, maybe so. Actually, and I'll tell you why. It wasn't because it was a bad show. It's because you go to a WWE live and they have the jumbotrons on. So if you're in the bleachers, in the nosebleed sections, you have these jumbotrons so you can still see the matches. I was surprised to see that AEW, at least last night, they did not do that. So the people in the blood in the nosebleed sections, they couldn't see jack shit. I was really surprised about that. And look, I was really close to the ring, and when I got home and I watched it back on TV, there was things that I even missed being close to the ring like that. And I'll talk about it once we get there. The show kicked off with Kenny Omega versus Black Christian or Blake Christian. I'm sorry,
Black Christian. Oh, man.
Blake Christian. He was.
What's going on over there at AEW?
He was with Lee Johnson, and I didn't know too much about Blake Christian. All I knew is that this is a guy that apparently has been on ROH and that's been getting a lot of wins. So they brought him for a one night off, for a one off against Kid Omega. The match is pretty much what you expected to be. Christian did get a little bit of offense. He dumped Omega outside of the ring. Ultimately, though, Omega beats Christian with a V trigger, and he hit the one wing angel for the win. It was an okay match considering this is a guy that most people didn't know who he was.
Well, I think they should change his name because you already have a Christian on the show. Change it to something else. Just for my opinion.
You know what? I agree with that because they actually have a lot of talent that has names that are very similar to the other names there. So yeah, be original.
Of course, maybe he's not going to get used all the time. Maybe he was just hanging around and went, let him go. His family's here. He can go in and have a shot.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if we see him outside of ROH back onto, I guess.
Well, I'll never see him because I don't watch ROH. So there.
I see, and that's why I wasn't familiar with him because ever since.
Where do you see it? Where do you watch ROH anyway? You got to pay for it? I don't want to pay for nothing.
So I guess you could go to ROH.com. I'd search that out in Google. I know it's mainly that, and that's where I'm at. I used to watch ROH when it was on TV before Tony Khan bought it. Ever since Tony Khan bought it, it's just turned into be kind of AEW's developmental.
The first time I ever watched ROH, they had a guy in there called Cheeseburger who looks like he'd never eaten one. And he's ate a bunch more. So I quit watching, all because of Cheeseburger.
Yeah. I've attempted to watch it. I'm just not interested in hardly any of the talent that's on there. Nothing against them, just not familiar with them. You have Jericho that's always on AEW promoting ROH because he's the champ, but I've lost interest in Jericho, to be honest with you.
It happens.
The next segment was MJF responding to the Hurt Syndicate. MJF came out, said that he's been thinking about it. He called MVP out. MVP came out, and basically MJF was like, cool, I'll join. I want to hurt people. Went to shake hands, and then Bobby Lashley's music hit, and Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley came out. And this is what I'm talking about, where I said that I was close to the ring, and there's things that I missed. Apparently when Bobby Lashley got there, I know that him and MJF got nose to nose, but he told MJF to give me the card, and he set it so low that most people missed that. I when I watched it, that's what I realized that's what he actually said. But MJF gave him the card. Bobby Lashley tore it up, put it in his pocket. MJF said, "We're cool." He backed off. MVP was like, "Hey, we're cool." We seen MJF leave. They MVP and Bobby Lashley exchanged the words. They walked off, and then we'll hear more at the backstage with the segment backstage with those two. Brody King versus Kyle Fletcher. This was my favorite match of the night. Brody King, as always, he looks fantastic. Kyle Fletcher looked good. It was hard hitting. Unfortunately, Fletcher won the match when he hit the brainbuster on the turnbuckle. Man, why do you think that they're not giving Brody King what I would consider a proper push? I mean, he's had title matches, but that's it. I mean, never wins.
Well, I've never been a fan, so I can't say. I wouldn't push him either. So that's just my
Really? Oh man! See, now I feel like I was excited to do this podcast because Mark wasn't going to be on here. Now
He's
I
just
feel
a
like
fat, tattooed freak, and you don't want him representing your company if you're going to make him a champion or something. Even though they've done that stuff before, doesn't mean you should do it.
I think Brody King is.
You just like the beard.
I love him. I like the beard. I like his look. I'm tatted.
Duck Dynasty's he's on the list for the next character that dies. Is that show even on again? I don't even know.
I hope not.
On still? I don't know.
I tell you why. Shows like Swamp People, Duck Dynasty, being that I'm from Louisiana, I cringe when I see these shows on TV because it's stereotypes everybody from Louisiana. And especially Swamp People. So Troy Landry is a distant cousin of mine. All of my family's from that area called Pierpont, Louisiana. And when the show first came on, everybody from Louisiana was excited. I cringed. I'm like, they already make fun of us. They can make even more fun of us. But anyway, yeah, I like Brody King. I like his size. I think that he looks great in the ring. He can move for a big guy. But obviously, you don't. No, Don Callis, I tell you, Don Callis is a lot bigger in person than what I imagined that.
But is he still as boring?
Look, when he was a professional wrestler, I didn't like him at all. But I tell you that as a manager, I find him somewhat entertaining. I think that that's what he should have always been. He's this decent on the mic, and he knows how to draw heat. The entire time he was out there, the fans screaming "fuck Don." So he knows how to get heat.
Is it positive heat, or I got to go to the bathroom? I think I'll check out the merchandise stand. I switched the channel heat because that's not heat. That is negative heat. There's positive heat and negative heat. Negative heat is someone who you watch and you go, this guy again. Da, 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 da. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's positive heat. People weren't getting up to go to the concession stands or use the bathroom. They were there chanting, "fuck Don."
Oh, you were paying attention to every single one of those people, making sure not one of them left the building.
No, I'm sure some left, but the majority of the fans, they were there, very invested into this match, and again, you heard 4,000 people screaming "fuck Don Callis." So I think it was positive heat.
I'm just kidding around.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm just kidding around, but if I found out he got fired tomorrow, I'd go, "Oh, geez, what am I going to have for dinner?" I wouldn't care, but I am just screwing around. I don't really, So God bless him for having a job. I don't know.
Is there a particular reason why you don't like Don Callis? Do you just find him boring?
I just don't care.
Yeah.
How many guys do you need to be a mouthpiece, for God's sakes? How many factions do you need? I mean, you got all these people under contract. It's like, well, let's just put 5 of them here and 4 of them there. Oh, we'll put 3 over there. And then we'll do this. We'll have this guy with a cane and he can talk a little bit. And then we'll have his 3 guys pretend to care. And how many factions? If you need that many factions, you got too many people on the roster because all those factions together don't mean diddly. You're just justifying the paycheck, which is fine. But at the same time, if you're doing something that ultimately is useless, then you're not accomplishing anything but spending money you don't need to be spending when you could be sending it to me. Back to the cases of Mountain Dew. They're not free.
I actually agree with you. I absolutely agree that AEW has way too many factions. And I think the reason being is because of exactly what you said. I think they have too many people. Tony Khan should really stop grabbing anybody and everybody that gets released by WWE because it seems like that's what he does, and he has a huge locker room, and this is why I think he needs those factions. I completely agree with you about that. It's like everybody's the faction in AEW.
And at the same time, okay, you got this speedball guy or whatever that is, right? He's a guy who, okay, maybe he's great. I've never seen him wrestle. I don't know. But he came from TNA. Did he help TNA? Was TNA getting monster ratings? Were they selling out buildings? No. So you sign him just because he's out of TNA. You sign him to AEW thinking that's going to make a difference. Well, sure, he might have great matches with Kenny Omega or whoever the hell he's going to wrestle. But does it justify the paycheck? No.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought him up because after Kenny Omega's match, he cut a goofy promo, and then Speedball came out, and I just at that point I kind of tuned it out. I just wasn't interested. I don't like the guy. I think he looks like a plastic Ken doll. Was
he weigh like 120 pounds?
He's small. He's really small, and people love this guy, and I don't know why. I don't think he's that great on the mic. I mean, he's talented. Obviously, he knows judo or whatever it is. But again, it's just that that's not anything that makes me say wow. So
that's what it is. You got guy sitting on his couch with his wife and his kids. And, hey, kids, Speedball. What's his last name? Speedball something, right? Speedball is going to be down at the arena tonight. He goes, we don't care. And he goes, yeah, but he knows judo. Oh, well, let's go, Dad.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, this match between him and Kenny, and I can't remember who else is in that match.
Ricochet, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, Ricochet. Yep, Ricochet.
Prince Puma.
Yeah, I'm. This is the match. I'm not excited about it at the pay-per-view. I mean, at least Ricochet is in it because I would absolutely not invest in it if it was Omega and Speedball. So Ricochet came on the Big Tron during that segment, and he said that last night was his wedding night. So seems like him and I can't remember who his girlfriend was, that the announcer from WWE. I guess he got married last night.
Oh, really? Isn't that special?
Isn't it?
They got divorced next week. Okay. Happens all the time. And it'll probably be it'll be an amazing match at the pay-per-view. I'm not saying it won't. It'll get, this is awesome. Holy shit. This is all those chants. Right. But at the end of the day, did anybody else tune in for that? Maybe they did. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know nothing.
Yeah, well, like I said, apparently Speedball has this huge following. I don't get why.
Yeah, right.
So Mark Davis.
There's no Joe Henry, which I don't get that gimmick either.
God. So. I don't like Joe Hendry.
See, we mentioned his name. I don't see him anywhere. So that's all the work. It's a gimmick. He don't appear, say his name. He's a Joe Henry.
Yeah. And
I could say Raquel Wilson. She'll appear because she's on my wall right over there in a big poster. Forget Joe Henry. Take Raquel any day.
Oh, man. Joe Hendry looked like a chump at the Royal Rumble. He really did. I'm glad they made him look like that.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, because he's very forgettable. The next match was Mark Davis versus Powerhouse Hobbs. And I tell you, Powerhouse Hobbs, if you think he looks big on TV, in person, he is twice the size. This is a big man. You had 2 big men in the ring. Match was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was entertaining. I didn't hate it, but again, it's not something that I was oh my god about. A winner powerhouse Hobbs.
Are you saying he looks like a powerhouse?
He does. I would think twice about pissing him off without there being any witnesses because this guy is really, really big. Now this next interview with Tony Schiavone, he interviewed rated FTR. I hate that stupid name.
What does it
Rated,
stand for? What does it stand for, anyways?
FTR stands for fuck the
World? Oh no, no, it's a R, it's not a W.
yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's something revival.
What's the revival? Who's that?
I don't know. You see, you're putting me on the spot.
I don't know. I don't know.
Ask me these questions.
I don't know.
Now I need to find out what it stands for.
Google it. What is FTR stand?
That's what I'm about to do.
Oh.
Making me do extra work on this podcast, making me look bad.
Well, you made me eat my dinner quicker than I normally would. I'm a slow eater and a slow walker. The only thing I'm not fast about, well, that's not fast about that either. Never mind.
So,
well, Durham, we got dead air. I'm going to be at the GrappleCon tomorrow and Saturday in Tampa. Abdul the Butcher, Arn Anderson, Nikita Koloff, and a bunch of others are going to be there. What do you think of that?
yeah.
Name droppers.
See, now I'm having problems finding,
FTR. For the ridiculous? No. Forget those wrestlers. Well, you could wrestlers and just as a gimmick, leave the W off. Forget those wrestlers.
I was close. It stands for fuck the rest or fuck the revival or fuck
the rest.
Revolution.
Oh,
yep.
How exciting.
Fuck the rest. Fear the revolt. Depends who you ask. Fuck the revival.
It's whatever you want it to say. Forget those wrestlers with an R. Those wrestlers. I say forget those wrestlers.
Wrestlers. So now we're talking about Southern wrestling, huh?
Although I remember that one guy when that guy jumped Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame and he gave him a big uppercut. Boom, whichever one that was. Cash Wheeler, is that the guy's name? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was good. Remember that? That was good.
Yep. So next segment, Tony Schiavone.
Hey, wait a minute. I just heard gunshots. Either someone's shooting off fireworks or my neighbor's just shot his wife. Something's going on. I hear it. Gunshots.
You live in Florida, right?
Yeah.
You should be used to that, man. You're in the South.
I live in a really quiet neighborhood.
You don't have any swamps near you.
Any what?
Swamps.
A swamp?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there is somewhere. I don't leave the house hardly ever. I don't even get the mail. I don't even,
hunting a gator or shooting.
No. There's a gigantic, literally, probably a 3 foot around diameter turtle in our backyard, like in the woods. It comes out every once in a while. Seriously, huge. A toddler could ride it and think it was a toy. That's how big it is.
Every time we go back home into Louisiana, my wife always thinks
I tried it, but it wouldn't move when I was sitting on it. So
see gators. She loves seeing alligators for some reason. So Tony Schiavone interviews rated FTR, and Dax.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but we got to figure out how I get stuff on my green screen too.
I told you
it'll be porn and stuff, but it'll be fun to have it behind me.
I mean, porn would be more entertaining.
I've been making these awesome I've been learning how to do graphic artistry, sort of. I don't know if you've seen any of those things I put together, and they're turning out really cool. Yeah, and I would have some of those behind me.
So if you see in the little corner, I have the one that you made for me.
Oh, there you go. Well, what a dummy. I forgot that. Of course you've seen them or you wouldn't ask me to have done that. But I made some really cool Evel Knievel ones, which I will have behind me on my stuff.
Yes. I've always loved Evel Knievel. Like you and I have talked about, I had the little Evel Knievel toy.
Damn tootin'. Now they just came out with the smallest toy like that. Literally, it's like this big. The new stunt cycle that winds up just like the old one, but it's like the miniature thing. Yeah. They call it the world's smallest Evel Knievel stunt cycle. Pretty cool.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know if they still make the big ones or not. I
Yeah, they
haven't
do.
seen.
Didn't I send you that link? Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time. This
Maybe,
company
yeah.
came out with awesome remakes of the original stunt cycle, the silver high jumper, all these different things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
yeah, they do a great job. It's called California Creations, and they look amazing. The boxes. They just came out with one based on the original box. Even it's so cool.
Yeah. When I was a kid, with the big bike that you wound up. I played with the logs so you build houses, and I used to
Yeah, Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln logs.
Yeah, I
And
used to have those too.
I put a ramp on, on one side, ramp on another, and then I take it to my little Evel Knievel bike that I had. I wind it up and let it go to see if he could make it over the houses, and he never did. But hey,
What?
it was fun.
You must not know how to do it right then. That's all I got to say about that.
Hey man, look, I love Evel Knievel. He's done some amazing things, but let me tell you, when his stuff went bad, it went bad. The man's broken every bone in his body when he was alive.
Well, that was just a gimmick, but yeah, he broke a lot.
You
The
think
Guinness, I know not to go off the subject, but the
Yeah,
Guinness
go ahead.
Book of World Records lists Evel Knievel as the man with the most broken bones, 433. That gets quoted in like every story about Evil, every legend about Evil. Even he laughed about that. I told you I was friends with Evil, so I know the man. He laughed about that. He said he broke 30 to 35 bones. You realize he only crashed like 15 times out of 300 jumps. If you would have crashed 15 times out of 300 jumps to accumulate 433 bones each, over the lifetime of those crashes, you'd have to break like 30 bones each crash. And he's lucky to even break one on some of the crashes. He break his back on one, twist an ankle on another. And I'm not saying he didn't get hurt, but that's all just part of the legend. And how the Guinness Book of World came up with 433 bones, it makes you wonder what other BS is in that book.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
I always thought that when jump that went bad, that he really broke most of the bones in his body.
No, I mean, like you go look at Caesar's Palace, which is the most famous jump crash, over the fountains. And, he broke his back and he broke a few other, but not, every bone in his body. He used to joke that I broke every bone in my body except my neck and my pinky. It was just part of the gimmick, and that's fine. That's what you do. But
yeah. Now, did you ever see him live?
No, unfortunately, I never did. When I was a kid, I didn't meet him until 1997, and then I was friends with him until he died, and just got to do all kinds of awesome things because of him. A picture of me and my son in the book he came out with, and my stuff was part of the A&E biography. They shot all of it at my house when they did that because of him, and I got to do all kinds of really cool stuff because of him allowing me to participate. And he even came to my house and different things, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but. Yeah, as a kid, I only got to see him on TV, Wide World of Sports. But I did get to see his son jump live over 30 cars right up the road from me in 1990, in the rain, no less. And it was amazing. It's on YouTube, the video.
Yeah, that's what
I recreate a lot of those jumps in this video game that I made, this Evel Knievel video game that I created myself. I didn't create the game, but I turned it into an Evel Knievel and Robbie Knievel game. And even Robbie Knievel's manager has paid me money in the last year to create some of Robbie's jumps.
Oh, wow.
So there, not enough because he didn't pay me anymore after the first time, but I've created a lot of Robbie's famous jumps, from his building to building jump to his canyon jump, different things.
Now, did you know Robbie as well as you knew his dad?
No, I only met Robbie once, and that was at the grand opening of the Evel Knievel Museum in 2017, because a friend of mine is one of the guys who founded it. He bought a lot of my stuff because a lot of my stuff is in the museum. I used to have a Harley Davidson XR 750. It was a replica of Evil's jump bikes, painted by the same guys that painted Evil's bikes. And I had a life-size replica of the rocket he used for the canyon jump. But all that stuff is in the museum. And so I was at the grand opening, which I would have been anyways, because I love Evel Knievel. And there's a picture on the wall of me jumping my bicycle when I was a kid in 1974 on the wall at the museum. But the museum's moving to Las Vegas from where it is now. And so whether my little picture on the wall with the rest will make it through all the chaos that they have to do to move all that stuff, who knows? But and we're going to go to the grand opening of that too later this year. So I know we got off tangent of the wrestling, but I can talk about Evel Knievel all day.
So how did you meet Evel Knievel?
I actually met him through the website or the internet. I just started getting into the internet back in '97. I was using a thing called Web TV, which I think I started using it right probably 96, the end of 96. It was a little like a Microsoft product that you hooked to your television and allowed you to go on the internet.
Mhm.
You know, didn't have to buy an expensive computer. I think it was maybe $2.99 or something. You know, computers were a lot more than that back then.
Right.
And you surfed the internet on, you know, on your television. It was rudimentary, as they say, compared to what a computer could do even then. But they developed more as the product went on, gave updates. But anyways, naturally, like even before I bought the web TV, I was at the library of all places, right? I don't even remember why. With my son, probably looking for helping him with a school project or something. We're on the internet because the only way you could get on the internet back then without owning a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went, hey, I'm going to type in Evel Knievel's name, see if there's anything there, you know. And there was. He had a website. And it just happened to be out of Clearwater, Florida, where I knew that he used to live in the summers, was in Clearwater. I knew that anyways, but I didn't realize he had a website because I wasn't into the internet. And I just called the number on the website and talked to a guy named Mike Gray, who was a friend of Evel's, where he stored a lot of his stuff at Mike's warehouse. And Mike ran the website basically. And I just said, hey, does Evel ever meet his fans? And he said, yeah, Evel loves to meet his fans. And so he set up a meeting. And I had this huge collection of all the memorabilia. You know, at one time I had one of the largest Evel collections in the world. Don't ever get married. But anyways, because all that stuff can go away. But anyways, I met Evel. I got to meet him at a golf course in Clearwater. Mike set the meeting up. And I was nervous. You know, I know we're going off topic, but I was nervous as hell, right? Because this is my hero. This is someone who I put on a pedestal. And they always say never meet your heroes, but I had experienced throughout my life meeting all my heroes, from Terry Funk to whatever, was just a fantastic thing. I would have regretted. I'd rather meet them and find out they're not what I expected than not meet them at all. But all my heroes turned out to be, you know, bad to the bone and super cool. And Evel was no different. But I went up to him, you know, as a Mr. Knievel, and I brought a friend with me, you know, because I was all, you know, I was nervous. He's my hero, right? And I was like, Mr. Knievel, my name's Bob Cook. I'm like, oh, hey, Bob. He shook my head, whatever. And he goes, he was a golf hustler back then. He used to love golf, but he would gamble with other people. And he said, well, I got to go in here and collect some debts from these guys because he'd beat them on the golf course. He goes, go down about a mile and go to this bar, and I'll meet you down there in a little while. And it was like an hour passed. My friend and I are just sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God. This guy who I have literally, I'm not kidding you, put on a pedestal. Like, if I had a choice to meet Evel Knievel or Jesus Christ, sorry, God, Evel's getting the nod, right? And he wasn't, that's how he blew me off. But then he walked in, and I swear it was like a light, you know, like, oh, music in my ears, like the shiny light. He comes in, you know, oh, and he motioned for my friend and I come over, and he sat and talked to us for 3 hours. He bought us drinks, told stories, signed stuff, and how we became friends beyond that was, at that time, I was working for an airport limo service. So I was going back and forth from where I was, going through Clearwater and Tampa to the airports. And we had started talking about the canyon jump. And I had somehow mentioned about wrestling, being a wrestler years ago. Or at the same time, I was still wrestling then. And he mentioned how Vince McMahon had helped him promote the canyon jump. A lot of people don't know that, but Vince McMahon Jr. helped Evel promote the canyon jump. What he really did was he secured all the arenas for closed circuit area on the East Coast, because WWE had all those connections for the Garden and the Spectrum, you know, all those East Coast arenas. And Evel was never really a wrestling fan, but he respected Vince's business sense, as they say. And as we're talking, you know, obviously we're talking about the cannon jump, and I just mentioned, where do you keep the rocket that you use? And he goes, oh, it's right here in Clearwater in a warehouse of my friends. He goes, next time you're up this way, let me know and we'll take you by and see it. You know, so that's how we were able to go beyond the first meeting. You know, he gave me his number, like he said, he wrote down on his business card, you know, this is my home number, this is my mobile, which is what he called his cell phones. You know, no one had cell phones back then, really. But Evel had a cell phone even back in the early 70s. It was in a briefcase. But anyways, so the next time I was up that way, which probably wasn't the next day, but I like to say it's the next day, and I'm calling him. I'm like, hey, I call Mr. Knievel, and he like, Bob, call me Evel. Because he liked to be called Evel. His real name is Bob, also Robert. But,
yep.
But I would start out, as I first got to know him, Mr. Knievel, Bob, call me Evel. Anyways, I said, I'm going to be up that way. So I brought my wife and kid with me. He took us by, and he let my kids sit in the rocket, and he had the shark jump bike that he used. And I was, anyway. So we were able to, that's how the friendship was able to continue, you know, through that initial, just basically saying, where do you keep the rocket?
Now, did he ever go to any of your matches? I
No,
know he
no,
wasn't a wrestling fan, but just
no.
friend.
I wasn't wrestling as much back then, anyways. But no, and I think the one reason he liked me so much, whether is because I never asked anything of him.
Right.
You know, and over the years, I'd seen people every time we'd go, he'd come in town or be in a local area where he was signing autographs because he would do those. You know, he would travel around the country to Harley dealerships and different things and set all this stuff up and sign autographs. And he would always call me locally. Hey, I'm going to be here or there, come out and hang out, which I'd go up and hang out with him. But I never asked him for anything. And everybody's always asking, hey, can you do this? Can you sign this? Can you do that? Even when I was doing the airport limos, again, we're going on off topic. I realize you get me started.
No, go ahead.
But he did a commercial for the ESPN Extreme Games in '99 in Colorado, and he left some of the stuff back in Colorado. And he called me and he said, hey, they're going to be delivering my boots and this outfit I wore for this commercial at the Tampa airport. Could you do me a favor and go by and get it next time you're up doing a run to Tampa? So I'm like, yeah, sure. And he goes, bring it by the condo, which is where he lived. And at that time he was talking about opening a restaurant in Prim, Nevada. So he was trying to collect the toys and different memorabilia to display. And I had a whole bunch of that stuff. And so I went and got his stuff, and I brought several of the toys unopened, like the stunt cycle and the different toys. So I'm standing there and knocking on his door, and his wife opens, and I got a big box of his stuff. But on top of it, I got the stunt cycle, the other like toys.
Right.
And he goes, oh, you brought stuff for me to sign. And I said, no, I brought this stuff for your, you know, the launching of this museum thing, or this, at the time, it was going to be a restaurant museum. But
Right.
That's the worst part about the museum that opened, was that he wasn't alive to see it, because that's something that he always wanted. And I know he would just love the way it turned out. But anyway, so I brought that in. I go, no, he like was, oh, thank you so much. Cause so many people just wanted something from him, you know, and I just wanted to be his friend. I was just all, and I got to hold the helmet he wore from Caesar's when I was in this combo. He goes, cause he had the helmet he wore at the Caesar's Palace crash on the mantle over his fireplace.
Wow.
And he's like, yeah. He goes, Crystal, that was his wife's name, or is his wife's name. Get that helmet, let Bob see it. And I'm holding the helmet, and even when he's like, yeah, put it on, Bob. So I'm putting the helmet on. I'm just like, like a kid in a candy store. My hero's just sitting there, and I got the helmet in my hand. I got it on, And then he gave me like $100. He goes, hey, here's that $100. Thanks for helping me out. I go, man, you don't got to pay me. I was coming. He goes, take your kid and wife out to dinner. I don't care. And it's this amazing guy. Anybody who has a bad thing to say about him, and he was a guy, if you got on his wrong side, there's always that saying, like, if he liked you, there's nothing he wouldn't do for you. But if he didn't, well, there's nothing he might do against you.
Right.
Like
right.
one time, in 1997 or 98, 77 or 80, beat a guy up with a baseball bat. I don't know if you remember that story, because a guy wrote a book about him that he didn't like, and it got him in a lot of trouble. He lost all his endorsements and went to jail for a while. And after he got out of jail, he was doing an interview on a thing called Tom Snyder's show.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom asked him, what would you do if you had to do it again? Would you do it again? He goes, yeah, next time I'll send somebody. So he had no remorse. But the funny part about that story is he called me out of the blue one time, and he goes, let me ask you a question. I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he says, would you ever consider hurting someone for money? And I said to myself, I said, well, I've never thought about it. He goes, well, think about it and call me back. Luckily, he never mentioned it again. And obviously I didn't inquire as to what. He was probably just one of his moods, like, son of a bitch, I'm going to get him and I'll call Bob and see if he'll hurt me. But fortunately, that never went beyond that conversation.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was funny. Afterwards, I heard my wife and go, hey, Evil just asked me if I had hurt somebody for money. Isn't that cool? I wasn't like, oh, I can't believe he'd ask me that. I was like, isn't that cool?
Yeah, I've always said that Evel Knievel was the Elvis Presley of stunts with bikes and stuff like that.
And he loved Elvis too. They knew each other. Yeah.
Yeah, there'll never be another Evel Knievel.
Nope.
I mean, even Robbie, as good as he was, he wasn't as bad.
Yeah, it was just different. He rode different bikes, but Robbie was good at what he did, and I loved his stuff too. But Evil was my childhood, so it's that connection. Yeah. When he died, of all the people in my life that have passed away, he's still the one that bothers me the most. And if I start talking too much, I'll start crying. But it's like he's the one that I just haven't totally got. Not that you get over anybody dying that really meant something to you, but that one's just like, because he was just so cool to me as a kid, and then treated me the way he did as an adult. And I remember calling him like a week before he passed away and wishing him a happy birthday or whatever it was, or 2 weeks, whatever it was. And then the last thing I said to him was, Evil, I just wanted to thank you for being you and for everything you did to me, for me. And I want you to know I love you. And his last words to me, I love you too, Bob. God bless you. Because at that point he had found God or whatever, as far as I know. That's what he said. I don't know. I don't argue with people in that regard. That's their life, personal things. But yeah. Anyways, so he was just a cool guy.
Yeah. Now, were you able to attend his services after he passed?
No, I chose not to. I could have, but I chose not to because in my mind, I did not want the last view of someone who I will say it point blank, but I love more than anybody that ever walked the planet outside of, your mom and dad and the usual stuff. But that I love more than anybody that ever walked the planet. I didn't want my last view of him in person. It was him laying in his coffin. And I know it was an open casket too. Now, years later, I regretted it. I was like, man, I should have just manned up and went, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I tell you what, guys, that's pretty much the show. Because I mean, how could we go back to nothing after do Evil Knievel? I mean, look, I love Evil Knievel as well as a kid. If his jumps was televised, I was watching it. I remember it.
And he had a huge turnout at his funeral. He had like 15,000 people at his funeral. It was at the Butte Civic Center. Robert Schuller from the Crystal Cathedral was the main speaker. He was a famous preacher back then. I think he's dead too now. Matthew McConaughey spoke. Joe Frazier was there. I mean, it was a huge funeral.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the man was absolutely amazing at what he did.
And he's got an awesome tombstone. It's like, this tall with his engraving of him on his bike, different sayings that he would say that were famous.
Yeah, where is his final resting place at?
Butte, Montana, his hometown.
Okay. Yeah, I would have loved to be able to meet him.
If I ever go to Butte, obviously I'll go to his gravesite and cry and take a picture. Hey, look, this is where Evil's buried now. I've always wanted to go to Butte just because the house that he used to own, the mansion, obviously it's not his anymore, but they did keep the gate, like his letters were EK on the gate. And like, from what I understand, they've kept that for all the years, out of respect for him.
Yeah. What a man.
And there's a lot of people that didn't like him because he wasn't the nicest guy at all times, but I only speak from experience that I experienced.
Right.
How other people's experiences with people, that's them, not me.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, we went off on that. And
no,
AEW, I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad. That's definitely more interesting than the recap.
Well, for me, always, I can talk about Evil all day long, any day. I mean, you can see those graphics I've been making, like multiple versions of the Evil with all the colors and the way they turn out. It's like, I even impressed myself. And I put some of them on my green screen just to see how they would look. And they look amazing. I'm like, how could they go from on a phone this big and look incredible? Look,
Tell you what, maybe we could do a podcast one night of just Evil stories.
What's cool is I wrote a song about Evil recently and played it, made it, turned it into actual. I wrote the song, but then you put it in a program and it creates. I don't know how to create the lyrics, not the lyrics, but the chorus and how that. But they put it all together, and I sent it to Evil's wife, and she loved it so much she's shopping it around to other country music stars to see if they could actually have it made for real. Now that's pretty cool. Whether it'll happen, I don't know.
Right.
I'm not one of those guys that go, oh, it's going to happen. I just, the fact she even said that, I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah. Were you the singer? Do you sing?
No.
No.
You can write the lyrics and then you put it in a program and the AI does they create the chorus and how it should be structured into a context of a song. And you can pick the genre. Is that what they call it? Genre, whatever. And I picked country music just because it'd be better. I made a rock version too, but the country music is better. The rock versions are different words and stuff, but I was just learning this stuff and it's really cool.
Yeah, you should
I made a song recently about the Great Malenko. Well, I have posted it on my YouTube channel. I got all that song. I got my Evil song. I got a song about the Cali for Alley Club that I wrote. I got a song about the Great Malenko I wrote, and then they put it all together, and it turns out really cool. I cry every time I listen to the Great Malenko and Evil song. I'm such a sissy, and I wrote the damn thing. Somebody get me a tissue. Where's that girl at? Oh wait, I sexually harassed her.
Yeah.
I did it again.
You reminded me of something, and this is the beginning of the podcast, that Kamala has been signed to a Legends deal. So good for his family for WWE doing that.
Well, he was before. I guess they just re-signed him or something because he's had action figures with Mattel and stuff. So who knows?
Yeah, I know. It was just posted
Because I guess
on
Crush got it too. Crush,
Yeah,
he just got a Legends deal as well.
yeah, yep,
I
yep,
know his son. I mean, I don't know him really well, but he comes to our Legends lunches. I don't know if he has more than one son, but one of his sons comes to our Legends lunches.
yeah, yep. When is the roast of Mick Foley?
It's part of the reunion in Vegas, like August
Is
20th,
it
I
August?
think, or 19th, maybe the day before 19th. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to be able to go to. But let's
I
finish this
won't
up.
be there as of now, but you never know. I
Well,
can't go to Las Vegas twice in 1 year.
lose too much money, huh?
It'd be great if they'd have the grand opening of the museum the weekend of the Cauliflower Alley, and I could attend
Yeah.
that then Cauliflower Alley. But you never know. Maybe they will. It's August.
Look, even though you got booked, I still think that you should come to Fan Fest in May.
Where's that? Oh,
It,
no, I wouldn't do that. No. I would never do that. I mean, the only reason I'm going to the GrappleCon tomorrow, I'm not booked on that either. I'm going because a friend of mine lives local and I get to stay for no cost me a dime. So I'm just going
Yeah.
because I get to see Arn Anderson and Abdullah Butcher and Dan Spivey and people that I don't see often but like. And,
And where is this at?
Tampa.
Is it
At the
Tampa?
Resident Inn. Yeah, it's a big deal. We got Glacier going to be there from WCW, who I've known since he started. Ming's going to be there. Haku, the baddest man on the planet. Awesome guy. I love him. Who else? Dutch Mantel's going to be there, who put me on his podcast recently, put me over on his podcast recently. Dave Pinzer's going to be there from TNA fame announcer. Well, WCW too, but I'm trying to think who else. Ricky Santana, Cuban Assassin, lots of, and some more local people that I don't really know, but then a couple other, Colonel Parker, Buckhouse Buck. I don't know. Quite a lot.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh, it won't be.
Getting back to AEW, the next segment was Tony Schiavone. He was interviewing Rated FTR. Dax Harwood kept on trying to apologize for walking out on Cope last week. Basically, it made it seem like they kissed and made up, but as they were going off to end the segment, they decided that they're going to go for the triple title that the Death Riders currently hold, and Dax Harwood did his famous tough guys out. Then Edge interrupted and said Rated FTR out. It looked like they didn't go very well with Dax. Man, I really hope that this is not a build to FTR breaking up. I really like those guys. They remind me of the yesteryears of wrestling. But Tony Khan, I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that.
It's one of those things. It could be their thing. They may have always wanted to wrestle against each other, and hey, let's break up. We'll have some awesome matches, and then we'll get back together. You know how that works. It's like, we realize we're better together than we are apart. We settled our differences, and we're back. Yay! The Shield did it, and the reunions with the Shield back when the Shield were over were huge.
Yeah, that's true. Next segment was Swerve Strickland. He called out John Moxley. They both cut a promo on each other. Moxley said that Swerve was facing himself to figure out if he could be real or not. At the pay-per-view, you've seen everybody come out from Death Riders. What I found bizarre, though, is Swerve Strickland's manager, Prince Nana, he was out there, and Claudio stood right behind Prince Nana, and Prince Nana didn't react. He didn't try to get away from him. I found that very bizarre. I don't know if I'm reading into it, but they may be about to break up Prince Nana with Swerve Strickland, because there's been off and on a little bit of that tension between them. Maybe that's a sign that he's going to cost Strickland that match with John Moxley. Don't know. That's just how I read it.
But what is having them together benefit anyways? Strickland, he could be a bigger star with just himself. You don't need any clown act as his sidekick. It's not it's not a circus animal.
Yeah, I agree. Prince Nana, he's funny at times, but when it comes to Swerve Strickland, he doesn't add
I mean,
anything.
it's probably one of those things where he's a friend of his and he's like, hey, can he be my manager? Okay. Who knows how it works? I don't.
Yeah. Now Marina Shafir,
Well, I like
she
her.
kind of yep, she kind of
Just guess why?
snuck up. Yeah, because she's a woman and she has 2 legs.
Superficial Bob. No, not just because of that. If she was fat, I wouldn't like her.
Will
I'm not
Nightingale.
hanging around Willow Nightingale's dressing room.
Tell you what, she's lost a lot of weight. You gotta give her credit. She looks a lot better than she did when she debuted on AEW. But Will
Yeah, well, guess what?
Nightingale,
There was a time I lost a lot of weight too, and I looked a little better, but I still was fat.
she showed up to stop Marina from sneaking up and hitting for Strickland. Weirdly enough, John Moxley did not allow anybody from Death Riders to jump Swerve Strickland. They left the ring, and as Shavir was about to leave, she actually attacked Willow Nightingale. So there, with that back and forth, was security trying to separate the Death Riders trying to separate them from fighting. I'm sure that is building to a fight between those two. The boys of the night or the men of the night was Top Flight because they're right here from Minnesota, and they probably got the loudest pop of the night. It was a squash match. I mean, nothing really to speak of. They went against 2 local guys.
Oh, I hate when that happens. I've never been involved in a squash match in my life.
Mark Briscoe versus Takeshita. Pretty decent match. Sadly, once again, we've seen Briscoe take the pin. He has been an enhanced talent since he's been on AEW Dynamite for some reason. I really thought that he would do something, being that he's tagging, with his brother, the champ, but doesn't look like they're interested in giving him a push.
Well, just because someone doesn't win doesn't mean they're not getting a push. They're there. They're in a prominent spot. They weren't,
right. You're right.
Match didn't go 2 minutes.
You're right. I personally,
someone's got to win. Someone's got to lose. Are we talking about Mark Briscoe?
Yeah.
Oh well, he gave a really cool speech at his brother's funeral, but other than that, I don't care.
Yeah,
he actually made me tear up at his brother's funeral. But
yeah. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately that happened, and I don't foresee his career going the same way it was going whenever he was with his brother.
Well, what I do see though, I see a bank account continuously getting checks, and he should just be happy that happens. Otherwise, get a job at Walmart and keep that Mountain Dew in stock.
Yep. Next was the main event: Megan Bayne versus Penelope Ford. I mean, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus
love them,
and Toni Storm. And man, I was torn because I'm a huge Bayne fan and I'm a huge Toni Storm fan. It was a decent match. I think the match between Toni Storm and Megan Bayne for the title obviously is going to be better. Surprisingly enough, Megan Bayne got the win. Well, not surprising. I wasn't surprised. They're going to want to build up Megan Bayne even more. Toni Storm's not going to drop that title to Megan Bayne, but
she should.
She should, but it's not going to happen.
Megan Bayne has the potential to be the biggest woman star in the wrestling history if they did it right. Now, I wonder seriously if her personality that they don't let her show on TV is her personality in real life, because I'd like to see a little personality. She looks good. I want to see some humor, some what do you call that? Energy in her personality. But I like looking at her, so hey, that's a plus.
Well, I keep on wondering why they're not letting her cut a promo. I mean, I haven't heard her speak.
Maybe she's not good at it. I don't know. But they could always do pre-promos and go, okay, Cake 37. Can we get it right this time, Megan? The food's getting cold.
Yeah. I mean, something.
You don't know the situation. Maybe they're trying to keep her the strong, silent type. But, I'd let her put me in a head scissors any day. So I'll take that to the bank.
I don't know. I think her cutting a promo, at least, even if it was every now and then, would add some character to, or some personality.
Oh, I agree. You got to do more than just stand out there and go, let her talk once in a while.
Yeah.
And if she's not good at a promo, teach her how to become good, because you can teach a few things.
Right.
School her or mentor her. By the way, where's my phone? Everybody got her number? Because I'd like to mentor her. I used to be able to cut a pretty good promo.
Yes, you did. Absolutely, I agree. I remember some of your promos, but that was pretty much it for Dynamite. And I'll tell you, once the show went off air, they had Top Flight come back with their family, and Tony Khan showed up and he did his thing. Top Flight got their flowers from the crowd. They cheered, and that's pretty much how the live event ended. Um yeah, I mean, it wasn't a terrible show, but I wouldn't say it was their best either. So I enjoyed it though. I had fun at the live event. I guess that's all that matters.
That's true, especially since you didn't have to pay to get there.
Yeah, yeah, that was that was awesome. Being able to be that close to the ring and take pictures. But I tell you, I'm one of the weird people though. I actually prefer watching it on TV than live events just
Oh, me
because
too.
the commentary adds so much to the program or to the show. Um,
Well, I
so
don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big Tony Schiavone fan. I hate
well,
his delivery. It's
right,
gotta be Sting. Oh, we got this. Here he goes again. It's just so contrived. It's so passionless. It's so heartless. It's so boring.
yep.
You got
And
to take
Mark,
someone like
if
Gordon
Mark's
Soley.
watching this, I hope you heard that because me and Mark go round and round about this.
Oh, I
He
hate Tony
loves
Schiavone.
Tony, and I'm like, ugh.
I hate his delivery. Just hate it. It's so fake. It's fake enthusiasm is the worst. You
Well,
could
and
take guys like Gordon Soley and Jim Ross, who could take a bad match, make it good, a good match great, and a great match legendary, just based on their commentary. Tony Schiavone can't do that.
yeah, I was watching him last night. And he seemed there's just no energy from him. He just seemed bored. He was sitting
Yeah.
down, just kind of whatever. I'm like, come on, man. People are
And did you ever
watching
watch
you.
Michael Cole when he's calling the action with they got the camera on him? That guy's like a maniac.
Yeah, I think Michael Cole's great. Mark hates him. I think Mark's drunk half the time because I Michael Cole will go down as being one of the GOATs. I'm not saying that he is as good as your JRs, as your Gordon Solis, but he's in the same class as those men.
Well, he's better than Bill Mercer because Bill's dead. Oh, too soon? That's not funny, Bob.
Yeah. What do you think
Well,
about Joe, whatever his last name is, on
Henry?
WWE?
Not impressed. Oh,
No, Joe, the color commentary for WWE.
oh, the new one from like what they call it, Joe from ESPN. He's okay.
Yeah.
It's not an
See,
easy job to go from calling real sports to calling, contrived sports, whether he's told what to say or whether he is given a script or if he's just allowed to go out there and call what he sees, which is the best way to do it. I don't know, but I don't think he's bad.
right,
And
right.
he's new at it. It's not like he's just,
Yep.
doing it for 20 years.
What throws me off with Joe is this, because you're right, he's not bad, but he sounds so much like Mean Gene that I feel like just because of his voice, he should be interviewing the wrestlers instead of calling the matches. Again, not because he's bad, but he sounds like Mean Gene to me. So it throws me off because Mean Gene, he wasn't a color commentator. He, did a lot of the interviewing. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's you're right. He's not bad. I just
Now, one guy
his
that they used to have, who I think he does wrestling maybe for Scott Demore's Canadian company with the Morrow. I can't think what his other name is, but
oh yeah,
that guy's got a amazing delivery and personality. Mamma Mia, whatever. I can't think what his name is, but
yeah,
when he was in WWE, he just brought the energy.
yeah, yeah. I that's how I feel about he was the kickers now does color commentary. Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
I like Pat McAfee. I think he brings a lot of energy as well, and I love him and um Michael Cole together. But I think they complement one another. They remind me somewhat of um Gorilla Monsoon and Bob Ray and Heenan. I'm not saying that they're
Wait a
nearly
minute
as
now.
good, I'm not saying they're nearly as good. I'm saying as far as their personality and energy matching one another, it reminds me of those two. There will
I
never
don't,
be
I don't,
anything
I
like
don't think they could have ever pulled off sitting on the set of prime time and just bantering back and forth.
that. Yeah,
I guarantee you none of that stuff was scripted. They're just going playing off each other. I don't think it was scripted, but I don't think they could nowhere near come close to
right.
that entertainment.
I don't think anybody could. I
No,
mean,
no.
those two were just so good together. There will
And the
never
fact they
be.
loved each other helped, they're just,
They did. Yeah, I mean, for Bobby the Brain Heenan, when he was inducted to the Hall of Fame,
yep,
he got
yep,
very teary-eyed when he, said he wished that his
yep,
best friend Gorilla
yep.
Monsoon could be there. That was definitely pulling on the heartstrings for sure. Two of the greats. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's the recap of AEW Dynamite. Um, I- Subscribe to my channel, guys. I have so much coming up. I have Casey Thompson coming up again.
Who? Oh,
I have a show coming up with Bob Cook and Mr. Herb with just telling stories. And look,
I just told
it,
all my stories.
yeah, I'm sure you have some more. And that show I have a feeling to be the wild. You
Well, there
never
is
know
this
what
hotel
Bob's
room in New
gonna say.
Orleans I could talk about, but
See,
we call it
so
the
that,
Renata incident for those that don't know.
yeah. So guys, you hear this? This is why you can't miss the show.
No, we
An
can't tell that
interview that
story. We can't tell that story on the air.
you absolutely can.
No, we absolutely can't. Well, I mean, it's nothing illegal, so I
Well,
guess
there
I
you go.
could.
There you go. An interview that I'm really excited about is Travis Arndorf is coming on here in a few weeks. He is the son
Paul
of
was awesome.
Paul
Paul
Arndorf.
was awesome.
Yeah,
And
Paul
if you
Arndorf.
want to see a good match, a match that compares to anything today, some channel I follow uploaded some primetime wrestling shows, and they have a match with Brian Blair against Paul Orndorff from the Meadowlands in where is the Meadowlands? New Jersey, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing match. Brian and Paul had incredible matches. It's like from
Yeah.
85, 86. I don't know. Fantastic.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful. He was great, Hall of Famer. And his son, even he has his own story for some things that he really went through. In his life, he's now a motivational speaker. That is one of the must watches for you guys. So again, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
How
We
can you not
will.
respect the guy who beat up Van Vader in flip flops? Oh my God. I wish I was there that day. Oh, I wish I was there.
I have never heard the entire story. I've heard brief mentions about that. So, but we will
Cuban
be back.
Assassin, who's a friend of mine, was there. He was there live, and he was telling the story the other day. It was hilarious on my podcast, where he was sitting next to Flair when the fight broke out, and Flair said, "Hey, you should go break that up." And Dave's like, "I'm not breaking that up." But Flair's like nudging him, "You should go break that up, Dave." I mean, Cuban. He goes, "I'm not breaking that up."
Yeah, that's just, I would love to hear that entire story. We will be back
I could get him on the show for you.
on.
I guarantee you.
Oh, that'll work. Absolutely. Send him my information. We'll be back on Saturday. Hopefully, Mark will be back with us because I suck at calling the matches. Mark does it much better than me. So hopefully he will be back Saturday for the recap of Friday Night SmackDown. Bob, anything you want to plug? Your podcast?
Well, I just like to say to Mark, whatever's going on, we hope it gets better. And Tony Schiavone sucks. So there you go.
I concur. Tony Schiavone does suck. You guys.
He used to walk around WCW with saltines and water trying to lose weight. I don't know what happened, but it didn't work.
You guys have a great night.
All right. So long from the Sunshine State. I love you, Gordon Soley.